listening to the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast, a podcast in sisterhood for female entrepreneurs that serves up savvy, actionable marketing advice and interviews with creative business owners who are in the trenches, building their businesses as we speak. The Marketing in Yoga Pants community is for you, the girl on her couch, in her yoga pants, top knot tight, hunched over her MacBook, trying her hardest to get the word out about her business. So in the name of supporting each other while supporting ourselves, bringing community, sound marketing advice, coffee, chocolate, and wine together for you, yoga pants wearing business owner, in a world where followers mean nothing but paying customers mean the world, join us on this week's podcast episode and in our private Facebook group where you'll meet your soul sisters and build your business in yoga pants. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. I'm Brit and I'm here today with Laura Diaz. She is the founder of KissMeCreative. Thanks for joining me today, Laura.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so Laura and I first met in a Facebook group. I think almost every single podcast interview I've done so far, we've met in a Facebook group. Because, I mean, you get into some of those groups and you just happen to connect. And I don't know, it was probably within the first couple of days you were in the group, we somehow connected and hopped on the phone and we're talking about our businesses. So wasn't it like you had just gotten into the group?
It was literally, I think like maybe 24 hours.
Yeah. We hopped on the phone and I love what you're doing with your company. So I'm so pumped to get to chat with you today, get some insight into your business, your industry, and what makes it all tick. So you ready to jump in?
I am ready.
Okay, let's do this. So first of all, Laura, tell me how you earn your living right now.
My living is 100% I earn from my business and from KissMeCreative. We are a boutique branding agency, and I mean, that's kind of a term that I coined, but essentially what it means is that we only do branding. There are a lot of big branding agencies that just by virtue of doing branding, they find that their clients need more, and so they start to do more. And I think it's great because it's great to have a one-stop shop, but it also presents this challenge, I think, of not really focusing on getting to know the client because you rush to do all of this stuff for the client. And so I really have this focus on knowing our clients as human beings before we ever brand for them, so that I am able to just I have designers who work for me. So when they send work to me, I know the client well enough to say, hey, I'm not going to send this to them because this isn't a reflection of them. So let's make these changes. But anyway, all of that said, I earn my living entirely from my business, which is so cool to be able to say that.
I was just going to say, I'm watching you beaming like, yes, this is so cool. I love this. That's awesome. Okay. So being that that's what you're doing, branding, boutique branding, tell me the story of how you came to do this with your life. I don't know anything about this, so I am really excited to hear how this.
Oh, I'm so excited to tell it. So it's actually a crazy story. So I did go to school for marketing a very long time ago, and I had a couple of jobs out of school that were okay. They were marketing manager jobs for smaller companies, just normal social media, some writing ad copy, marketing manager jobs are like this catch-all where you're not great at anything, but you can handle it all. And then I saw this incredible job. I was probably like 23 or 24, and this job for this really swanky hotel company posted. And I, at the time, was working on my master's degree in hospitality management, having an undergraduate degree in marketing. And I was like, this is perfect. It was a demotion from the job that I had, but I had high hopes that I would get promoted. And I suppose that in many ways I did, just not in title or paycheck. So 3 months in, I got the job. and it was this marketing coordinator position for a company that had 12 boutique, very fancy hotels at the time. They now have like 16. And just 2 or 3 months into this job, I'm sitting at my desk and I see the VP of marketing go into the conference room and leave with like a box of things. And I was like, okay. And then they called the graphic designer in to the conference room and she left with a box of her things. And then they called the intern in and he left with a box of her things. And then they called me in and I was like, yeah, sure. Just let me go vomit.
Yeah.
First, because I was like, I'm about to lose my job. And so I went into the conference room and instead of leaving with a box of my things, the vice president of the company said, hey, we have 6 ads due on Friday. Can you design them? And I had never designed anything in my life ever, but I was so freaked out to lose my job that I said, yes, absolutely. And I stayed up. I'm not kidding. I probably was awake for 3 days figuring out how to use InDesign to create ads. And I did it. They were awful. I still have them. I look back at them and I like laugh because since then I've had 7 years of design experience. And so it's just wildly different what I create now. But because I did it, it was a little bit of a catch-22. It really positioned me great within the company. They figured like, oh, well, we don't need to hire anyone. So she can just do it all. So for 8 months, I did all of the copywriting, all of the design, all of the social media. I did the ad buying. Like I'd never purchased ads in my life for 12 hotels.
Oh my gosh.
And then they hired a boss for me who to this day, she's the greatest mentor I've ever had. I would not even own my business if it were not for her belief in me and what I was capable of. She got hired and I was super scarred at this point. Like I've been working 70-hour weeks for 8 months and I was doing all kinds of things. And I had gone in and asked for a raise and the response was basically, we would have never given you this opportunity if you had applied for this job on paper. So just be happy that you're even here. So they wouldn't give me a raise. They wouldn't give me a title change. And she came in and she was like, okay, so tell me about what you do. And her jaw was on the floor when I told her everything that I was doing. She just, all she could say was, how? Yeah. And so I eventually, because she then became an advocate for me, we hired on some more people and I was able to have a little bit more of a normal job. But I got to a point where I was just miserable there because I had worked so hard and I had trained, I was sitting in a staff of people who I had trained to do their jobs and I could still do most of their jobs better than them. And I was just stuck financially and title-wise because of the company culture there. Mm-hmm. And my boss she left and she basically at the time that she left also told me, she's like, I'm not going to tell you to leave, that would be unethical, but I am going to tell you that you've learned everything that you can learn here. Mm-hmm. And so I left my job and I started a business. I started a branding business because I'd really grown to love branding through like a little bit of a twisted way because I thought I was on the inside of this company going like, it's a disaster in here, but the outside world was like, this company is amazing, look how beautiful it is. And through that I was like, branding is so powerful, but I want to use it for good, not for, at the time it just felt like it was being used for evil in those circumstances. And so I have always been very into yoga and wellness, and while I was at that job, in all of my spare time, I got certified to become a yoga teacher just for fun. And so
in all your spare time.
In all my spare time. I was young, and obviously I didn't sleep back then. It never happened. I look back at those days and I'm like, did I do that?
Yeah.
But I really had a heart for people who were in just healing and helping and wellness professions. And I was super frustrated with the idea that they were just doing the same thing over and over again and not really growing in salary or in even clout or positioning, right? So I started a business. My first business was doing the exact same thing that I do now, but I only worked with yoga teachers and healers and people who at that point I thought like they really need help with their marketing and branding. And I was very successful doing that. I crossed the 6-figure mark in the first 18 months. Ooh, but nice. The problem that I found was that I had to take on a lot of clients to cross that 6-figure mark because their budgets were just not, it's not that so much that they didn't have the money, because I think that if you really want something, you will find the money, but it was more like they didn't see the value and it required them to restructure their whole business in order to justify a purchase like this. And they do still to this day. Like if you're out there, you have to restructure your business model. The business model of just like teaching yoga at a studio and teaching private lessons is not ideal because you're trading time for dollars forever and ever. And it was too scary for that demographic to make this jump into that. And I was always up against like this pricing thing. We don't make any money, but we're not willing to change our business model and we're not willing to pay somebody. So about a year and a half ago, I made a transition. I was getting tons of referrals from the clients I did have, but I just felt like I was working too much, right? So yes, it sounds incredible to make 6 figures, but it's not that great if you're working 100-hour weeks and you don't get to keep all that money, right? I have a staff, I have 2 web developers and 2 designers and a project manager. So it sounds fancier than it was, right?
Yeah. So I wish everyone could like just rewind and like listen to that again. So maybe it sinks in one more time for them, because I think we're like, no, but it's 6 figures. It's been blown up to be this amazing thing in our head. And then, but no, but
it's
not
that big of a number. I mean, it's just not at the end of the day. I mean, if we're being straightforward, because I'm not afraid to say this, it was almost 5 years ago. I made 6 figures in 18 months and I maybe paid myself like $18,000. Right. Because I was still figuring out profit margins and all of that stuff. And once I figured them out, it's what led me to make a shift. I wanted to work with people who were invested in their business. And it wasn't about the money. The money is an indicator of how invested people are.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to work with people who were invested, committed to making their living from their business.
Right.
And that does require an investment, both your time and your money and your energy, and it requires you to take risks. And so I made a shift. I renamed my business. I didn't rebrand. I actually started a new business entirely, doing the same thing, but with a very different approach, a very holistic approach, an approach that required that people be committed up front. So what that looks like now is I won't even take people on as branding clients unless we have a VIP day first, because I want to be certain of really 2 major things: that they are actually invested in their business and they're not going to change their mind in 6 months when they haven't made enough money. And the second piece is that their business model is sound enough that they're going to make their return on investment.
Yes.
And so here I am doing that.
Awesome. So explain your target audience today, your ideal client today.
My ideal client is typically a woman. I've worked with a handful of guys and they've been great, but we prefer to work with women. Personal brands, meaning they are the face of their business. It doesn't necessarily mean that their name is their business.
Right.
But at the very least, they are the face of their business, and they have a message that they want heard in the world. So it's not just about the work they do, that they are standing for something that is much bigger than the work they do. The work they do is just a vehicle for it. Yes. And they are aware of it, because it is my belief that most people are taking a stand for something in this world, even if they can't articulate it. My ideal client can already articulate it. I'm not in the business of coaching people to those kinds of conclusions. I am strictly in the business of branding. I always make that clear to my clients. I'm like, I am not a coach. If you want a coach, you need to find someone else.
Yes, you are there to do business. And that's so much speaks to your personality anyway, I feel like, just from the little bit that I've gotten from you. It's just like, we're here to make some stuff happen. So let's make some stuff happen, right?
And the other big thing too, I mean, you saying that is, I want my clients to make money. So clients who come to me and are like, well, I'm not really worried about the money. I'm like, well, then you have a hobby, and I also am not the one for you.
Right.
Because I am not okay with people making huge investments in branding if they're not going to get ROI. Like, go hire a graphic designer on Fiverr and save yourself the investment of having somebody who's doing things strategically and who's spending, I mean, we sometimes spend up to 100 hours working on a single branding project.
Right.
And that's not what people need if they're not worried about money.
Right. And that is exactly what your ideal client needs. That person that is invested, they've been through the ringer, maybe, they've figured this out, and now they're ready to take it to the next level. They need you so badly. They can't go on Fiverr and just grab somebody randomly. They don't necessarily have somebody already on their team that can make this happen. So they need you. And so that's the brilliance of saying yes to one group and no to several others, because then you're going to be able to serve that one group so hard, like I know that you're doing. So yes, that's a great takeaway for anyone listening. So I would love for you to take us back to when you quit your job and you had to get your first client. How did you get your first client and make your first dollar on your own terms?
I left my job. Here's the deal. I am one to pursue security. And so I left my job knowing I could get clients because I had connections at that point. Like, my old boss was a principal at an agency, and they were always outsourcing work. So there was actually a gap between when I left my job and I started Sheums, which is my old business, where I was just freelancing. So I did not actually have a business. I was a freelancer. And when I realized, once I was freelancing, then I started to have people approach me who were not approaching me because I was associated with the agency, but rather they saw that I was doing stuff on my own, just in my personal network. And they were like, oh, well, I have this project. Can you work on it for me? And I went through this process of basically like, oh yeah, sure. Like, I'll do your branding for whatever, $500 or something at the time, which was like, I'm sorry. I was like, what was I doing? I was spending like 3 weeks, right, to make $500. I was like, and then I was like, well, they said yes to that too easily. So the next time I would go up to 700, and then anyway. And so the process, yeah, it's crazy.
I love those stories because we don't all know it in the beginning. Like, we all make those types of those decisions, and like, we look back and like, what the heck?
Right. I mean, because you just don't understand. There was a lot I understood. I mean, if I'm gonna toot my own horn here, like, I'm not gonna be modest. Like, I have great business sense. The thing is, at that stage in my life, I didn't have a lot of pressure to make money. So I was just figuring it out. At the time I was married. I'm not anymore. So now there's a lot of pressure because I need to pay my bills. And so I was like, well, this seems reasonable. And then I realized how much work it was. And so I would up the price. And then when I had so much work that I needed a team, I also needed to up the price again, because you can't have 5 people working for you for the price of 1. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
And so it's been, over nearly 5 years, it's developed into what it is now. And now it's in a place where I'm like, this is how it's going to be for a while. Like, I don't need to change anything. That's really nice.
Yes. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. And so what are you doing now? You kind of already said there's this VIP day that you're using now. Tell me what that marketing strategy looks like right now. How long have you been in business? 7 years?
Almost 5 years.
Almost 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years now. What's working for you right now?
So, and we have a really strong online presence that I don't necessarily directly attribute our sales to it currently. There have been times when I'm doing more advertising and really putting people through a funnel that leads to digital program and then VIP day and then a certain percentage of those branding. So we go through, I do that in certain times of the year. So over the course of the last 5 years, I've learned we are super, super busy from December through May because people like to start their businesses and start fresh at the beginning of the year. We are decent in summer. I like to keep things like even keeled in summer so that I have a little bit of a break, and then we're dead in the fall. And so the fall is usually when I'll do a big push advertising wise to put people through a funnel and drive some revenue that way. But the rest of the year, a lot of my biggest clients, we're talking like our branding packages range from $8,000 to $13,000. And my biggest clients are people who I've built relationships with over years, because that's a substantial amount of money for somebody to drop. They really have to trust you. And so I've gotten that. I usually try to do a couple of speaking engagements every quarter, and I'm active in different masterminds, and I try to be like networking, cocktail hours and stuff. I'm not into it. I never meet anyone value, but if I can get on the stage and speak, it is so great for positioning. You just are automatically an authority if you have the guts to go get in front of a microphone and talk for 30 minutes. And so that's been really powerful in terms of I can really, really tie that to our bottom line if I look at like a 12-month period. If I look over the last 5 years, probably 80% of our clients come from, whether it's like something small like a digital program or full branding, 80% of my clients come from my mailing list, and they just have been on my mailing list, opening my emails for years, and one day they finally decide that they're ready.
Yes. Okay. I would love to highlight the fact that you are a service-based business providing a program and providing something to build your email list, and that is how you're getting customers. Because a lot of times I hear, and I'm sure you do too, with the service-based businesses, they don't necessarily have a vision to create some sort of product. Like they're just they're just offering their service. So they're thinking like, well, what can I actually do with an email list? They're not actually going to hire me. Yes, they will.
So my jaw's a little bit on the floor because it's so, my experience of entrepreneurs and the people who come to me is so different because so many of them come from my mailing list that they're not arguing that they don't need a mailing list because and so it's because I'm like a little bit like, what do you mean people think they don't need a mailing list? Because they're a service-based business. All of my clients who come from my mailing list, well, some of them are people who have been like writing back to my marketing emails being like, this is such a great email for like years. And then finally they're ready. So it's about building a relationship. If you get on my mailing list, I write about life. And tie life and business, and you're learning the same lessons. They're just applied differently. And I really love to write, so I guess there's a little bit of a benefit there. But even if you don't, it's a way to build a relationship. And ultimately, no one's going to buy from you if they don't like you.
Boom. Awesome. That is exactly what I wanted to get out of that. Exactly. And and I think I'm hearing this kind of pushback from the service space. Like, it's because they don't necessarily, I'm thinking, we see all this stuff about email funnels and email lists to sell a course and to sell a series or a book or whatever, and they just have their service, so they're a little hesitant, like, what do I actually say in the email? And you just said it so well, like, this is how you build a relationship. So
yeah, and I mean, I've had way more success selling my services than when I've had digital products on and off, but I've had way more success. And the way that happens is in those emails. I'm like, hey, is this going on in your life? Like, I just sent out an email about money, right? About money and how people have a weird relationship to money and whatever. And at the bottom of the email, I'm like, is this going on? Are you having this conversation with yourself? Click here to book a time to talk to me, because if you keep spinning your wheels, you're not going to get anywhere. And then people will book a time to talk to me, and that's how you really develop a relationship that ultimately leads to selling an $8,000 or $10,000 or $13,000 service, is taking people from your email list and getting them on the phone with you.
Yes.
I mean, you can't be afraid of sales. Like, that's the other thing. You cannot be, if you're going to be a real entrepreneur who can pay their bills from their business, you can't be afraid of sales.
No, there's no way. You have to be able to put yourself out there. So yes, I completely agree. So let's shift a little bit and talk about the work that you're doing right now. Are you working on any specific project? Do you have your focus anywhere? Tell me about what's going on in your world.
Well, the first whole 4 months of this year have been insane. I have worked with, currently I'm working with an incredible copywriter. So she is having a complete revamp of her brand and website. So we also do web development. We do visual design and web development.
Okay.
So that is a big one, and she's so full of personality, so I'm really excited to brand her. Earlier this year, I worked with a couple of different, just a lot of fiery women, right? I continue to work with yoga studios and yoga teacher training programs. So I did a big project, branding and web development for a teacher training program. I'm trying to think who else we've worked with. I'm going to open up my portfolio right now to tell you all the kinds of cool people. We've done so much work. Literally, this has been my busiest year ever. I have a client who does pet photography, and her long-term goal is to open a dog daycare. So it's really cool to see people who have a plan of where they want to go as they transition out of their job. Because it doesn't always have to be, eventually you have to jump, but it's cool for me to be able to work with clients who have a strategy for transitioning from a really secure job into entrepreneurship. I got to work with my first nonprofit this year, which is really exciting. The Alexander Matthew Foundation. I got to work with a meal delivery service out of Boca that does healthy, organic, non-GMO meals. So we have really worked with a lot of different people over the course of the last 4 months, who are all up to really big things.
You know what I love about that so much is that if you guys are just listening and not watching the video, you should see Laura just light up when she gets to talk about her clients. That is so exciting. Oh my goodness. That's just inspiring to me to have just watched you just pour out all of this.
Oh my gosh, I love them so much. I have a handful. So I take on, I don't do coaching. I do take on a handful of consulting clients. It's very few. I do 4 a quarter. So that I can consult on the direction that they're taking their business and the steps that they're taking. One of the things I am naturally just very skilled at is breaking down big projects into manageable tasks and helping people get those accomplished. And even with those 4, I have 3 of the 4 spots filled currently. With those clients, I'm so excited to get on the phone with them. I'm like, yes, it's Erica Walters Day. And she's like, you are crazy, but I appreciate it. Like because they are all actually doing it. I think one of the things that pisses me off is people who pretend to be business owners but never make any money or never put any effort forth. And what I can say about my clients right now is that they are killing it. I mean, we did a restaurant last year. It was actually the only restaurant we've ever done. But 2 years ago, we did a restaurant, and it has just won every single healthy food and vegetarian award in Orlando over the last 2 years. Like, they've cleaned house when it comes to food awards. And I'm like, we were part of that. So cool. So I get excited.
Yeah, I love that. And it's inspiring, and it makes work, I'm sure it makes your work feel that much more worth it, to grind away. Cause I'm sure there are times where it's like, holy smokes, this is a lot of stuff and I got a lot on my plate and oh my goodness. But when you get to partner and connect with other people that are grinding it out and getting amazing things going in the world, oh man.
Yeah. It's the biggest validation. It is the biggest validation to see your clients succeed. I have a client who texted me this morning and she said, I got 2 new clients this week. And this is a woman who came to me 18 months ago and she had nothing but an idea. So she had never run a business. She had nothing but an idea. And she texted me this morning and she said, I got 2 new clients this week. And I said, like, you have no idea how excited I am for you, because this is actually the highest form of validation that I could ever receive, is that you are making money as a result of the work that we've done together.
Yes. Amen. I love it. Okay. So what's next? What are you looking forward to? Any new projects, new opportunities, new goals you've set? What's coming down the pike?
Well, I'm like, let's have fingers crossed. I have a second nonprofit that I'm hoping to, actually 2 more nonprofits that I'm hoping to work with. And I just love that because it's making a difference in the world, and just, it's so exciting to me. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Those proposals are out. And then the biggest thing for me is this year, this is like, I don't know if I should even share this publicly, but it's so exciting. So KissMeCreative, it is it's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. It's May 4th.
Oh yeah.
And we have already made more money this year than we made all of last year in revenue.
Stop it.
Yeah. It's like the craziest. I mean, I'm not kidding when I said that the first 4 months of this year were the craziest times I've ever lived. Ever. So with that being said, and my projections of what we're going to do in revenue this year, next year, my big thing is that I would like to hire 2 full-time employees, because currently my team, everybody's contracted. And if everything continues the way that it continues, I'll hit the goal that I wanted to hit before we hired employees, because really my vision for this is to have even more of a boutique agency model where we can serve more clients and in just a way more streamlined way, and give people this. I think we give people a great experience because we love them so hard. I mean, we just love our clients. And so it will allow us to do it that much better if we are all full-time staff, right?
Yes.
So that's my big thing. And I see it, it's like there. I can see the finish line in the next 12 to 18 months for sure.
Wow. Okay. That's really exciting. All right. I want to switch up, lighten things up, some really quick, easy questions.
Perfect.
Yeah. Just some fun stuff. So first of all, what's your absolute favorite business tool you're using right now?
Boomerang. Oh my gosh. Do you use Boomerang?
For Gmail?
Yes.
Yes. I just did an Instagram post about that, like maybe last week. I love Boomerang.
Literally, Boomerang has, so true confessions, I used to have like 5,000 unread emails at any given time. And I know people would look at my phone and be like, oh, the red dots. And since Boomerang, I mean, I think that's part of the reason that we've done so well is I don't forget to follow up with people since I started using Boomerang. And so my follow-up is very right.
Awesome. and that's systems, and especially if you're building your team, and that's just so crucial. I love it because there are times as a small team, yes, I'm working at ridiculous hours of the day, but I don't necessarily feel like I need to be available 24/7. I don't want to be available 24/7. And some people might judge this a little bit, like thinking like, I don't know, it's a little shady, but guys, like, it's not work 24/7. It can't be. If it is, it's like I'm going to go absolutely nuts. So I love if I'm checking email at 11 p.m. and I want to respond so I don't forget, and but I don't actually hit send. I say send it tomorrow morning instead of right now, because it just sends a great message that boundaries, yes, just
They're
hashtag
crucial.
Boundaries, and that's it.
The other thing is, do you know you can write notes in the paid version of Boomerang where, for example, I'll have a call with somebody and then I'll send them a follow-up email. But if there are additional notes from the call that I want to remember when they write back, like that her business partner's name is Dana, or that her dog's name is Rory, like I can put it in the notes where she doesn't see it.
I did not know that. And I have the paid version, so I need to go in and
it's amazing.
Oh, I like that. That's just really good business. Kudos for that. That's awesome. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
You're probably not going to believe this. I'm actually an introvert.
So am I. Yeah. So do you feel like you're like, you can turn it on, you can perform, but you need your...
Yeah. I mean, I'm never around people, so it's easy for me to turn it on because I don't feel exhausted. I work from home. Everyone on my team works remotely. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I don't see another human being for like 6 days.
Oh my gosh, me too.
And I'm okay with it. Like, I have no problem.
That's awesome. Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Oh, I'm a super early bird. I'm awake by 5:30, 5:45 every day.
Yep, me too. And I think we were just talking, well, I just saw it on Instagram. You're doing the morning workout thing again, getting back into that. How awesome does that feel?
Oh my gosh, it's so great. I'm doing Orange Theory. Do you have Orange Theory where you live?
No. I live in the middle of nowhere.
It's the greatest workout I've done in a really long time.
Yeah, I've heard. My background is in fitness, so I definitely know what you're talking about, and it looks pretty awesome.
It's so great.
Yeah. Where do you find your flow in your work? Like, you put your head down and 5 hours later you pick it back up and you're like, holy smokes, that felt like 5 minutes. Where is that flow?
Copywriting and in design, which I don't get to design that much anymore because it's not the greatest use of my time. But when I am designing, literally I can just wake up 3 days later and then, 3 days went by. Yeah. But for sure, copywriting for myself. When I copyright for clients, I love doing it, but it's a very different, like much more disjointed experience for me.
I agree. I have the same experience. Now, being that you work from home and all of your team is remote, and so you're really on your own most of the time, how do you find your flow? Like, because it's a lot of time alone, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very disciplined by nature. It's not I just am fortunate. I guess my parents raised me in a disciplined, very structured way. And so it's pretty easy for me to just, this is life and this is how I'm going to do it. I also block things off. There was a time when my life was a little bit more chaotic, but I also block things off in my calendar. So I don't, just because I have clients who want to talk to me at 8 a.m. because that's the best time for them, like, too bad. Coming into a relationship with a client, they know that I am only available to have calls on Tuesday afternoons, Thursday afternoons, and Friday afternoons. If you need to talk to me at a different time slot, you need to figure it out. And so I actually have it all booked. Like, Mondays, I'm looking at my calendar right now. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, I have project management from 9 to 10. On Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, I have content creation from 10 to 12. And then I do have full, for example, Wednesdays, when I schedule VIP days. So I actually only have 4 slots for VIP days every month because they have to be scheduled on a Wednesday. And that way it's like, if I'm able to get into a groove because I'm not constantly disrupting my schedule to meet other people's needs. Like, does it cost me a little bit because people are annoyed with the fact that my schedule is tight? Maybe, but mostly it's respected.
Exactly. I think it's just a huge respect builder. And I already, just personally, I already have a ton of respect for you for again, #boundaries. Like, I'm running a business here. This is not just like fun and games. Yes, you want, and obviously we've already been through this so far with you. Like, of course you want the best for your clients, but you also need the best for your business too. And that's brilliant. I love it. I can't think of a better way to do it.
I mean, it has worked really, really, it's worked great for my personal life. It's worked, and like, I will reserve stuff, right? 1 Saturday a month is open so that if a client absolutely can't do a Wednesday, they have that option. But I mean, I won't be able to get anything done for them if I'm talking to them all the time, is the conversation that I have with them.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. And I'm sure so many people listening are just like, yeah, that's so true. That's true for them too. So, all right. One last question we have to end with. I want you to look back when you first started your business and tell me what advice you would give yourself to that girl on her couch, hunched over her MacBook, trying to figure this whole thing out. What would you say to her?
Oh my gosh, that's a really hard question.
I know.
Really, this is just deal with the confrontation. I think the hardest thing is that I was always bending over backwards to make sure no one was ever upset with me. These boundaries that I have now did not exist even 2 years ago. And I was always like going way over the amount of hours that people were paying me for so that I could make sure that they had nothing bad to say. Whereas if I learned, and I would have told myself, if you set the boundaries from the beginning, if you give people a document, like, these are my work hours, these are as many hours as are included in your contract, and if you actually contact them when they've crossed that hour mark and say, like, hey, you're over hours, so your project extension fee now applies, then you have set that boundary up front. And if they don't like it, I mean, it's on them because you told them up front. Yeah. Because I just would have saved myself a lot of heartache and a lot of work that I didn't get paid for if I had learned to set boundaries 5 years ago.
That is really, really good advice. And I have to ask one more question because I have to know this just as my own thing. What flipped the switch for you 2 years ago when you said, all right, what did you do to create the boundaries?
I had a crappy experience with a client. Mm-hmm. She did not have a crappy experience because I was bending over backwards and inside out to make sure that she got what she wanted. And I was such a wreck over it. Mm-hmm. And it was more, I was replaying the entire scenario in my head, and I realized, like, none of this would have happened if I had held up my end of the contract, which was, like, we don't go over this number of hours, and we don't work past, 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. But it, like, said that in her contract, like, don't expect. But I didn't hold up my end of my own contract. And I realized, well, if I just do that, I don't have to deal with this. And I don't have to. And the other big piece of this, honestly, is that I learned to not make what other people are dealing with a reflection of me and who I am. I don't know, something happened where I was just able to separate that and have a conversation with myself whenever I started to feel anxious or sick over somebody being upset. And I instead now can say, I did everything that I could have done for this client. I am not, like, my quality of work cannot be questioned, basically. And so it's not on me. It's not a reflection of who I am as a human being. It's not a reflection of my talents. It's not a reflection of my knowledge. It just is whatever that person's dealing with doesn't jive with this current situation, and it's not on me.
I love it. So really, it's funny. It kind of came full circle there. It was like understanding the boundary between what is your personal responsibility, and that's, how you structure your contracts and how you then follow it up and do it. And then between things that are not your personal responsibility, and that's the feelings of pretty much everybody else, and not taking those on too seriously, obviously giving an amazing experience, as I know you do. But that is brilliant advice. I love it. I know in the beginning it's hard to do that, but over time, like you said, you push yourself far enough, and
it gets easier. Right? Yeah. It does get easier to say that to people, and you get to a point that people will respect it, and you get to a point where you are okay. If somebody can't respect the rules that your business plays by, you're okay with being like, bye.
Yeah.
That's where I am anyway.
Yeah, that's yes, and it does take time and experience, and that's thank you so much for that. So before we go, could you please tell the listeners where they can find you online?
You can find me at KissMeCreative everywhere. So we're KissMeCreative.com, we're KissMeCreative on Instagram, we're KissMeCreative on Twitter, we're KissMeCreative on Facebook. So you can always, we're really consistent.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, branded. You can find me at KissMeCreative anywhere on the internet.
Awesome. Okay, you heard her, girls. Go check her out, send her some love, and hop into our private Facebook group where you can hear even more from her over the next few days. Thanks so much, Laura.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Keep the conversation going by visiting marketinganyogapants.com/Facebook, where you'll get to join that private Facebook group I've been talking so much about. There, you'll get to chat with our podcast guests. Yeah, they're in there too, and all of the other brilliant creative business owners. We're connecting, we're meeting our soul sisters, and we're building our businesses, all while in yoga pants. So come hang out with us. Again, visit marketinganyogapants.com/Facebook to get in. And one more thing. If you dig this podcast, would you be awesome and share it with someone? This entire Marketing in Yoga Pants movement is nothing without its community. So please share. And if you're really feeling the love right now, jump into iTunes. You're probably already there if you're listening to this right now. And leave us a rating and review. The more of those we rack up, the more the podcast will be found by ladies like you, and the stronger this community becomes. This episode was edited and produced by the Podcast Engineers. They're pretty great, so go find them at podcastengineers.com. This episode was also brought to you by my online marketing agency, Jam Marketing Group, and you can find us at jammarketinggroup.co. That's all for now. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you back here next week on the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Love ya. Bye.